And also, it's of the utmost importance, and this is an area a lot of people underestimate, is natural fibre. The clothes must be made out of natural fibre. So your natural fibre, and I think the obvious ones are your cotton and your silks and your wools, your flax, your hemps, but you might not be aware that modal is the cellulose spun from the birch tree, and so it's a natural fibre. Viscose is also made from wood pulp, and rayon. So these three are made from wood pulp. Now some claim that the process of making it has chemicals in it. Well, before I wear anything I buy, I always wash it and I hang it out on the clothesline for the day. The sun purifies. That's why I love sun-dried clothes. It purifies it. Now some of these can be expensive, and so you can always visit the, you call it the thrift store, here, the second-hand shop. And I know my grandsons, when they come to visit, I've got a suitcase full of clothes for them. Because so often they'd come with not enough clothes. You know, when little boys pack their own clothes because the parents are so busy, what comes isn't always the most appropriate or not enough. So I just go to the second-hand shop and I've got a great pile of clothes for them. I even find that you can get some nicer cotton clothes in the thrift shop compared to the new clothes. So make sure it's all natural fibre. So number 4, we're getting to number 4, and that's sleep. 8 hours. 8 hours for adults, 10 hours for children. As long as the lights are low at night and you have your main meal more in the middle of the day, eat lightly at night and have soft music and read a nice sleepy story, you can usually get the children into bed early. It's a good idea to no technology when the sun goes down. When the sun goes down, your brain and your eyes know that, and it's winding down for sleep. So if the eyes see the technology, that just wakens everything up. So adults, if you're not used to 8 hours sleep a night, I've got some good news. You can retrain the brain and you can get used to it. And once you start experiencing these longer hours of sleep, you will be convinced. You will feel so much better. So the sleep's important because that's where the body is recharging, that's where it doubles its healing powers. Number 5 is exercise. Now the exercise, probably the best exercise for anyone with psoriasis, is swimming in the ocean, nice and cool. As you warm up, you've got your nice cool water on you, because if you do the high intensity interval training out not in the water, so in an exercise bike or out running up hills, as your body heats up, the psoriasis gets really, really itchy. So if possible, find a creek or a dam, or unfortunately the swimming pools of today often have a lot of chlorine in them. The salt water would be the best. So if you cannot swim and you have no access to the pools, my suggestion is maybe the exercise bike or the rebounding, because the body must exercise for it to have enough oxygen to be able to heal effectively your whole body. And then straight after your exercise, just have a 10-minute cold shower. And that'll just cool that skin. That'll cool that skin right down. So the next one is diet. So then the question is, well, what do we eat? One man said, you've just taken away all our food. We have oatmeal for breakfast with milk on it, and we have toast with peanut butter on it. What are we going to eat? Well, there are some other grains that aren't as well known, which are very nice. A very nice porridge alternative is the millet, but remember, 1 millet to 4 water. and that makes a nice soft porridge. If you're not an early riser, you could put it in the crock pot overnight, and then you wake up in the morning and the millet's ready. Quinoa is another gluten-free grain that you can use. Buckwheat, not everyone's excited about buckwheat like the Polish are, so I'll leave it up to you. And rice. Rice is very safe. It's one of the lowest allergen foods there is rice. And if your family's not used to brown rice, you could do half white rice, half brown rice, and get them slowly used to it. But if the brown rice is cooked enough, it is soft. So ideally, if you're doing a rice cooker, say, 40 minutes I think it cooks, it'll go off by itself. Don't touch it for another hour. That second hour, that'll soften that grain right up, because it's like in a little oven. If you don't think it's hot enough, you can, when it's off, you can put some blankets on it and keep it a little bit warmer. Or even just put it in the oven, but it'll continue to cook, and that'll get all those little starch granules broken down. So there's your alternative to your oats. So you've got alternatives to refined sugar in your honey and maple syrup, palm sugars, they're not as refined. So for your peanuts, really all nuts. So instead of peanut butter, you can get cashew butter, you can get almond butter. In Australia, you can get macadamia butter. I don't know if you can get that here, but there are several alternatives that you can do. And for your alternative to your dairy, there's lots today. Soy, remember soy's okay as long as it's organic. Almond milk. Coconut makes a very nice alternative. There is rice milk. I find it very, very thin and watery, but if you like something a bit creamier, you can go to the coconut. So there are alternatives to all of these. We should enjoy our food. God gave us taste buds for a reason. So get some cookbooks and find out how to make them taste magnificent.